Welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams-Birch, and this podcast, it exists for you. Whether you're a music lover, an educator, a choir member, each week we bring guests to the show to help explore what matters in music. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to the show. Hello, and welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emmy Birch, and today we are talking to one of the recent graduates who was in a few of my classes, most recently the songwriting class. Lindsey Hull just released her very first EP called Learning to Fly, and in this episode we talk about where it came from, how the process worked. We drop tips along the way if you also have dreams of one day dropping an EP or making your voice heard or reaching for some crazy goal. And we get to just share stories. And I'm so excited to unpack the 6 songs in Learning to Fly and hear where they came from and just the power of music and storytelling. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Perform International. Maybe you're dreaming of going on tour. Perform International can help. We're so glad they make this podcast possible. And I'm so glad Lindsey had time to sit down and talk. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with singer-songwriter Lindsey Hull. Today on the podcast, I am so excited to be talking with a recent college graduate and singer-songwriter Lindsey Hull. Hi, Lindsey.
Hi.
I have had the pleasure of having Lindsey in class for multiple quarters, but this past quarter, Lindsey released an EP, and that is what we are talking about today. How does it feel? It's been out in the world almost, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because we fully wrapped up a month before, those things take time. And it kind of just, I thought it would be big when the big release day came, but it was like, yeah, I've known these songs. These are my friends. But it's really sick that everyone gets to hear them now. And it's not just me that holds them.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I think that's such a gift that singer-songwriters give is they share a piece of themselves with the listeners. And I think that's so important that you don't let intimidation play out or win out, and that you are free to share and be vulnerable in that way. But we have to, before we get into it, who is Lindsey Hull? How did you become a singer-songwriter? How did you get into this world of music?
Yeah, so Lindsey Hull grew up in a tiny, itty bitty town in West Virginia. And I kind of grew up in a music family, but they weren't the brand of music family you think. My dad had a guitar that I actually own now. And he played on it. There's pictures of me being in my little toddler stroller and trying to mess with his strums. I always loved to turn the tuning things. I thought that was fun. He hated when I did that. Yeah, I always joked his favorite song to play was Country Roads because it was also the only song he could play on that guitar. So we heard it all the time. And it's funny, though, because growing up, guitar was not the instrument. I was a stubborn girl, so if dad played guitar, I wasn't going to. So I started at piano. And I took lessons in kindergarten, and I hated taking lessons. I hated having to sit down and be disciplined to practice. And I would always practice a song for 3 times, and then I'd get mad, and then I'd make a mistake, and then I'd hear 2 notes that I'd heard before. So then the entire time I was supposed to be practicing, I'd spend trying to play by ear the song that I had got in my head.
Oh, that's so cool. So you were having tunes in your head while trying to practice.
Yeah. And it would just turn into I didn't want to practice anymore. I just wanted to sit there, and I would sit there for hours trying to figure out to make the sound that was in my head. But sitting down to do what's actually on the paper, And I kind of went in and out of piano lessons. I went in and out of voice lessons, and singing was also a big thing for me. You could catch me around the house singing 24/7. I would make little ditties in my head, and they weren't great songs. The first one I did, though, I was working with my voice/piano teacher that I actually met. I did a talent show, and she was one of the judges. And I had literally gotten second place every single year in this talent show. And she came up to me during one of them and was like, "Hey, you should have gotten first. Here's my business card." And
cool.
Yeah, I started taking lessons from her, and she's one of my greatest friends and mentors. Every time I go back to West Virginia, I go to her little back porch studio, and we split a little thing of tea and we talk about life on the back porch.
Oh, that's a dream.
Yeah. And she helped me write my first song and get it on piano with chords and hone it in. And after that, it was kind of just like always a melody and lyrics at the same time. So it would just be me singing into my voice memos. And it wasn't until maybe Someday, which is track number 4, I think. Mm-hmm. And that was in 2023 that I really was like, okay, I want to write a song and I want to sit down and I want to make it a whole song. And I locked myself in the Kreitz basement and I hammered it out on the keys. And then I was writing songs officially.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Kreitz is one of the buildings we have on campus.
Yeah.
How did you end up at SCAD? I feel like you told me this story once before class because you were one of those amazing humans that comes early to class, which as a person whose love language is quality time, that meant so much.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. As a person whose also love language is quality time, I love being early and getting to class.
Those were my favorite combos. Okay, how did you end up at SCAD?
Yeah, so I was a Girl Scout from like Brownie through graduating. I'm actually a lifetime member. That's like a thing our troop would do. Yeah. And there was like 5 of us older girls when we were all in high school that had done it all the way up. And as like a nice little trip, one of them was graduating and we all came down to Savannah. And because that's where Girl Scouts was founded. So we did like the Juliette Gordon Low tours, the Andrew Lowe house. We went on a ghost tour, Ghost and Gravestones, where we got to tour where she lived when she died. And we also toured some other things unrelated. And everyone on the tour just kept talking about SCAD. And I thought it was Savannah College of Architecture and Design. So I like didn't pay attention to it because I was like, ew. Architecture. I had architecture roommates this year and I have all the respect and love for them now. But then junior year of high school, I was looking for a school with a good acting program and SCAD kept coming up. And I'm like, why the heck is there an acting major at an architecture school? I ended up calling this poor admissions guy. I still remember his name was Dan, and God bless Dan because he sat on the phone with me for 2.5 hours while I asked every single question you could ever ask because I didn't get to tour the campus. And because we're all the way up in West Virginia, there was no way for us to come and like get to see it. So your girl had questions and he sat there with me and it was between SCAD and I'd gotten to the New York Conservatory. And I liked the beach. I loved Savannah when I was here. And actually, I thought, how cool would it be to go to SCAD and then to work at that very same ghost tour? And I ended up working at that very same ghost tour.
No way.
Yeah. And that's honestly the place that I found my voice. I found a way to like sing and make people sing in every single one of my tours. And I genuinely think those 2 years are the reason that I was able to be successful the next 2 years.
That's so cool. Yeah. There's so much just in that story of like you found a school, you were willing to ask the questions, you were doing the research, you were putting in the time. You obviously have discipline since you are a lifelong Girl Scout, which is so cool.
Love Girl Scouts. They gave me so many opportunities. If you have girls, put them in Girl Scouts. The thing is, it's not even just, sorry, this is like a wayside tangent, but like,
go for it.
It's not even just like knots and stuff. Like because of Girl Scouts, I did a trip to LA where we got to tour like Warner Brothers Studios and make like a short film for a week. We went to different colleges and I got to like take a crime scene investigation course where we got to use the actual crime scene house and they had actors come in and we had to like scan fingerprints and everything. No, it was a really great opportunities.
That's so, and I think you took advantage of them, which is such a great example of what you're doing. Like you put yourself in a room to say, okay, I am a singer-songwriter. Let me finish an entire song. And then you released that single earlier this year. It's on the album, but you released it as a single first. But you had something before that because I wanted to come to your live sessions and I couldn't make it. What were your live sessions?
Yeah, so I had one single live session and it was based off of a song that I had written exactly a year before. And it was actually before I even considered the EP. I didn't like, music was always the side thing when I was here at SCAD because I didn't feel confident in singing and I didn't feel confident in like the stories I had to tell. And it was a silly class project and we had to like create a piece of art with community. And I was turning 21 So I went to the Facebooks and I asked all my community back home, and some people here responded too, like the things they wish they knew before turning 21. And I sat down and I turned it into a song. And that was the first song I wrote. Okay, the first like completed song I wrote on guitar. And it got a lot of really great positive feedback. And my roommate at the time was about to start planning for their film senior thesis. And they loved the song and they were like, hey, if you give me 2 official recorded songs, I'll do music videos for you as my senior thesis. And that's actually here's the thing. If they wouldn't have believed in me with that and said that, the EP wouldn't have happened. It's because I went to get Maybe Someday and Brand New recorded so that we could do music videos, that I met the producer in the music production class. And because I met him and we started on those 2 songs, and those people believed in me, I was like, I have another song and I have another song. And I felt safe enough to share that. And it kind of just grew into this whole thing it is now.
Yeah, but you also trusted. I think that that's such a big piece that people sometimes forget. Like, you don't have to have all of the answers right now. Like, you were just, you don't even write the original lyrics by yourself. You asked your community and then you put them together. Like, you don't have to be the lyricist and the tune writer, and you don't have to be the producer. You just have to have the idea and trust that idea and then be willing to ask for help. And you are so good at doing that.
Thanks. I realized I didn't actually answer the question you asked.
Oh, yeah,
The 21 live session.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. Well, we're going to do that a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah. The 21 live session. So a year later, I wanted to practice releasing music before I started with Maybe Someday and Brand New. So it was really just supposed to be, we don't have enough time to get a good, decent official recording at 21, but I want to put something out there. So we're going to just record it 1 take live. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to record it 1 take live, why don't I make something out of it? So it turned into, get this, I didn't try it, but the concert is actually, the whole thing is exactly 21 minutes long.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so serendipitous.
And I invited a few friends. It was like a sweet little like intimate thing. And I turned it into a little concert that we just recorded. And then the live session went out to distribution.
It is such a cool thing. I just remember wishing that I could be there. You invited me and I had to be in another location, but it was such a great idea. And again, another lesson. So you trust people, you're not afraid to ask for help. And then you did like almost a soft launch. Like, let me see how this goes. This is, nothing's tied into it. My value, my worth, my talent isn't tied into this one release, but let me at least try it before these next 2 music videos come out. That was so smart, like a soft opening.
Yeah, a little soft launch.
So are the next 2, so Need Somebody and Brand New, those are the 2 music videos that your film friend helped with?
Yes. Yeah. And that was really sick. We actually were recording, we were filming the music videos at the same time that we were recording the rest of the songs. I'm prepping some BTS stuff, and I was looking back at the calendar, and it was literally like we shot Maybe Someday over the weekend, and we wrapped it like midnight, got back at 3 a.m. And the very next day I was in the studio until 10 p.m. And yeah, which was a really cool, fun adventure. And it was actually interesting to see how what I was doing and the acting that I'd been doing in the music video informed the way I was singing what we were recording in the studio, and how that was taking direction, which was cool to see.
Yeah, you were like, it was all authentic. All the art crafts were coming together in that beautiful harmony of collaboration. I think that's such a great thing. And those 2 songs, Maybe Someday and Brand New, those are number 4 and number 5 on the album. So can we talk for a second? So we've talked a little bit about how you just got enough courage to release an EP. Like, that is just the coolest thing. I hope someone listening knows that whatever you're dreaming of doing, you can do. You just got to take a step forward. But to topic, what's the order? There's 6 songs on this EP, Learning to Fly. The opening and closers are like so perfectly bookended. It listens beginning to end amazingly, but I want to hear it from you. How did you decide on this order?
Yeah, so I started with Maybe Someday and Brand New, and then I wrote. There were so many songs that actually didn't make it on the EP. Like the 3 songs that I took to my producer that I had written right after we started working together to like, let's make an EP. didn't end up making the cut. Yeah, it was actually like the rest of that quarter, and then spring break, I wrote As I Fly. And that's when I was like, okay, this is the story that's being told. And I actually remember the part in the bridge, I almost didn't include that in the song because I was like, oh, it's too gut-wrenching. I don't want to be mean. But when I decided, like, well, that's my story, then I realized, oh, this is my story, and how privileged am I to get to tell it. And so that's when the direction of the EP really started. I wrote, and then over the summer, my poor producer, he just kept getting text after text. I wrote a new song. I wrote a new song. Here it is. I wrote another new song. I didn't write them in the order they are. I wrote If I Say I Love You. And then I went back home, and that little break between working here over the summer and coming back for school, I wrote I'd Like to, and Just Keep On Walking 2 days back to back, front to beginning. But the order as a whole kind of tells the story of my experience, because don't get me wrong, I love the itty bitty town I'm in, but especially for someone like in the arts or like in a niche, my needs weren't met to explore who I was, because there weren't opportunities there for me to explore unless it was by myself. And I spent a lot of time looking, I like to say, the little mountain girl looking up to the sky. And I wrote the last song because I had remembered growing up and getting to junior year and finally getting to a point of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to move on to a big city and I'm going to have opportunities. But it's exciting, but it's also scary because you don't know what it looks like if you've never experienced it. And I remembered how terrifying that idea was. And that's when I started writing As I Fly, because I was experiencing the same thing. I still am, getting ready to graduate and leave SCAD to whatever the next big thing in the sky is. But I was sitting in the exact same spot I would sit as a kid when I would make up little songs and ditties and dream big and wonder if those dreams were ever things that could become a thing. And that's where I'd Like to came from. It's about wanting something that feels so far out of reach, wanting something that you feel like you have to fight to even be able to brush up against. And that's what takes us into Just Keep On Walking. I lost my dad. Actually, he passed away. He was alive for the 21 Live session. He had cancer, and he had gotten diagnosed my sophomore year of high school. And it wasn't even a full year after he got diagnosed before he passed. And I think it was, I had just written Maybe Someday I'm Brand New, and I still kind of kicked myself because I didn't want to show him the songs yet because I wanted him to hear them when they were done. But yeah, he passed away literally right as we started working on the EP. And I was back home for a more extended amount of time. And, you know, I kind of like gotten used to living without him here because he was in my life. Like, I call him, but like it didn't feel as absent as being back home and being like where I would see him. And our thing was guitars and hiking. And every summer I'd come back, we'd always go hiking. But when I was back home growing up, it'd always be like, we do our March hikes because that's when the snow would start to melt. And it was like a yearly thing. And that's something when I was trying to like keep him holding on, is like, you owe me a hike when I come back in the summer. So I'm waiting for it. And I wanted to, when I got back home, to hike one of the trails we did in his honor. And I just could not bring myself to. So I was sitting in my little spot, and I literally wrote it beginning to end in 20 minutes.
Yeah, you had to get those emotions out. You were processing.
Yeah. And I think it's one of my favorite songs on the track. It's the most personal, but not even just that, but I've had personal songs of processing, but nothing has ever flown as like just poured out of me. And there was this moment I was voice memoing it once I had gotten the whole thing out. And right in the middle of the song, it started raining. And I was like, I want to keep going. I love the rain. One thing about me, I will always look up when it's raining. And the minute I finished the song, like the rain literally crescendoed at the perfect time of the song. And when I was done and sat just for a second in it, it literally faded out. Like it felt like I was like writing with God, you know?
That's
And
so cool.
yeah, I took that to Henny, my producer, and I was like, how the heck do we make this in the studio the same? And it was a harder process. I know I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted just my voice and the guitar. I want it to be like that. But it was just sounding empty because, you know, the studio version was never the same as the live. And I remember it was that late night recording session after I had done the Maybe Someday shoot and everything. I was so tired. We were in the studio from 8 to 10:30, and we were supposed to just be recording harmonies for I Silly. But I had an idea and I was like, can I just try something on this song? And we did 3 takes, literally 3 takes. I did an upper harmony throughout the song, I did a lower harmony throughout the song, and then I did an end. And I found something I liked. So I did re-record a couple things, but literally we used those takes, like not even anything planned. It was just ad-libbing. And unfortunately there was a mess up in one of the lower ones with sound, and we had to re-record it, and I couldn't do it. We spent 2 hours trying to re-record what I just did in one take for at 9:30 p.m. And I don't know, everything about that song just like it didn't feel like I was chasing a song like it normally does. It felt like I was just opening my heart and a song was coming out. And
That's such
that's
a
how
pretty
everything.
visual.
Yeah.
And it's perfect that it's like right where it is, and it's fun because like I'm an Apple Music listener because I'm an elder millennial, and that one has the little dot, so that means it's the most downloaded on the album. And I think that says a lot about your vulnerability and how what you're sharing and like people resonating with that. What does it stand for again?
So the song about my dad is Just Keep On Walking. The next song is I I call it I Silly because it's a mouthful, but it stands for If I Say I Love You.
Okay, so the one about your dad is two, and
Yes.
isolate is okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
following.
Yeah. Yes. And then I Silly. That's one of those songs, like it's not necessarily my story. I feel like it fits the arc. It is my story in the sense of I'm like the character. Um, saying I love you for the first time is in the same essence of being seen and letting yourself be seen and letting yourself be loved. And that's a big theme of the whole EP. That's a whole theme of my arc, especially through the grief of losing my dad. I lost my grandfather in high school, and it was the weirdest experience because I didn't think that I deserved to grieve. I didn't think that I deserved to let people be there for me, and it was not healthy at all. And going through losing my dad and understanding what it means to have a community and to let people love on you, um, and what that feels like, and how it's still stinky, but it's not as
At least
bad.
you're not
Like
by
I'm
yourself.
living, I'm creating art, and it's a lot more healthy, and just how transformative it can be when you let people be there for you and let yourself be loved. And so that's the beginning of If I Say I Love You, is like, what does it mean to put yourself out there, to let someone say they love you too or not? And I actually I started it when I was in 4th grade. I had this silly dream like a week before school, and it was me and this boy, and like we were in high school in the dream, so like it was like, it was me and this boy, and we were in a blue truck, and we were looking up at the stars, and we were like on a date or whatever. I remember he was a brunette, he had freckles and he had blue eyes, and we were almost about to kiss, like it was the part of the movie, and then my alarm clock woke me up. And
That's crazy.
yeah, me and all my friends, and it became like an inside joke, and it still is because it hasn't happened yet. But we're always like, who's gonna be the brunette freckle boy? And like when we get new kids at school that match the description, everyone would look at me and we'd be like, is he the blue truck guy? So that's I haven't met my blue truck guy yet, but that's actually what the song started out as, just imagining like if there was a soundtrack to that song, and it turned into more of like exploring what I was actually, how I am in relationships. And something fun about that song is Wayne on Maybe Someday. He plays cello, and I'll talk about that in a second. But right as he was coming to film our music video for Maybe Someday, there was a slot open, and we had the idea of bringing in cello or bass. So I was actually working with Antea or Chet, and she was suggesting the song needed like something lower, and I was like, "What about a cello?" And we were able to sneak him in last minute to do a session. Of course, he improv, like all of that, everything on that track he did. He went out in the hallway, said, I forgot to compose this. Give me a second." Came back and said, "This is what it is." Like, I don't get it, but
some people, it's like the tunes you had in your head when you were playing piano. The tunes were just in Wayne's head.
Yeah, so brilliant. And it kind of like the cello became a character with "If I Say I Love You" into Maybe Someday.
So cool. I mean, because that's how I met you. You had just written Maybe Someday.
Yeah.
And somebody connected you to me. I don't even remember who.
It was a soft.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, so a colleague connected you to me. I was teaching the songwriting class last year, or maybe it was arranging and transcription. It was one of the classes in the music comp minor. And you came in and played this gorgeous song. And I remember you just sat down on the piano and started singing and playing. And my jaw was on the ground. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And then you were like, but I don't know what key I'm in. And I have no idea what chords I'm playing. So like, can you help? I'm like, okay, yes, let's get this. And I knew that Wayne needed a project for the class that we were in. And so it ended up being a really cool transcription project for Wayne. And also the fact that the cello becomes a character in the EP. Like my teacher heart is full. I'm thrilled. My heart can explode now.
Yeah, it was great. And I remember that day too. I was so nervous. I was like, this girl,
you didn't show it at all. I was like, oh my God, she just sat down and started playing and singing. She's so talented. I wish I had that much gumption. It was so good.
I just remember you kept saying all the big words, and I was like, okay, a tonic and I don't even remember what they were, but I just remember you kept saying, "I'm so sorry. It's a Thursday. My brain is moving so slow. Come to on a Monday." And I'm like, you're already blowing my mind.
I think because you stayed and you came to class, but then you stayed for office hours, and it was a Thursday office hour, and we only have those 4-day weeks. But Thursday end of day office hours, my brain is such a mush.
Yeah, I was still blown away though. I was like, you know all this? I don't know anything, but this is
now cool. You do because you took the class. I know. Fast forward a year. Okay, so you have Maybe Someday into Brand New. Did you always know those were going to feed in that direction?
No. Honestly, they were originally in my head completely unrelated. Because Maybe Someday was I Need This for Myself song. Going into the theme of not understanding. Because, when you do go through things, you want to reach out to people. And it's not always that. And for me, it wasn't always that I wanted to isolate myself when I tended to. It was just, I just didn't know how to not. I didn't really know, like, and, when people say you can always reach out, like, I didn't know how to reach out, like, how to say, hey, I need help right now. So that's kind of what that was born out of until Wayne brought the cello. And when he brought the cello with that song, I remember just thinking what he did with the piano and how it became a character is it felt like the cello was having this conversation with the piano, like the way he used space with that. And it turned into, so the piano is this girl that's struggling and like not understanding how to open the door. And the cello is the person on the other side of the door saying, hey, it's okay. I'm here when you need me.
Yes.
And that's what kind of birthed the whole idea for the music video. For Maybe Someday, and the narrative between Wayne's character and mine. And then that kind of informed. So I had Brand New written, and that was like, this is the other one. And it was just going to be like the other song for the music video. But it kind of informed the story that we tell over brand new is like, okay, well, now we have a connection here. How does that expand within like your community and your friends and your family? And once we had decided that the two songs and their music videos were kind of going to be interconnected, it just made sense for those to feed into each other on the EP.
Yeah. And it sets it up perfectly for the arc. Like, it's such a beautiful story arc to then end with As I Fly, which just, oh, I love that song so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, listeners need to go catch the EP. I'll put the link in the show notes. But you wrote a killer couple songs there for your final project in our songwriting class. Not one, but two songs.
Yeah.
When are we going to see those? Are we going to do some singles? Are you going to do another EP? What's your plan?
That's a great question. And I have so many other, I call them, I have song sprouts and not my song bank. Yeah. I have my song sprout folder is 76 long of songs that I just started that I need to finish.
Yeah, you have time.
Yeah, they grow when it's time. I water them. The sun shines on them, and when they're ready to sprout, they sprout. And then I have songs that have sprouted that are sitting in my bank that are waiting to be a part of something. I'm a really big storyteller. I think I'm sitting on honestly 3 different concept albums right now that I'm deciding of like which one I want to go in the direction. But okay, I don't know. And we're living in not knowing.
Right. And just as long as you promise that those will get to come out, because they are the stories and the emotion that they let the listener process are just so beautiful. So I know that Learning to Fly is the coolest EP. Y'all should go listen. It's been fun to hear their journey along the way. Let's recap the pieces. So 1, don't be afraid to just lock yourself in a room and try it.
Yeah.
2, trust people, ask for help. You don't have to do it by yourself. 3, decide the story you want to tell, and it's okay if the story changes. You said you changed the order multiple times.
Yeah.
And rewrote things and added new songs.
Yeah, just trust that what you have will grow into exactly what it needs to be, but it can't grow if you're not feeding it.
Oh, that's so good. That is trusting that it will be what it needs to be. And then just do the thing. I think that imposter syndrome can so often cripple people. And I'm so glad that you put it out.
Me too. And that's a big thing. I think that's like the biggest thing I learned from the songwriting class, because I came into the songwriting class as a non-comp major. And everyone had taken all the 5 classes. Not everyone, but a good portion in the class had taken the 5 classes. And I came in like, I don't know anything. It really took until like week 7 for me to feel like I could actually share my opinions and to feel like what I had to say mattered. And the biggest thing I learned, though, is like, it's okay for me to be good at what I'm good at, and to find the people that are good at the things that I want to be good at someday and might not be there yet. And like, it's not even just like asking for help, it's creating opportunity. And like looking at it less as like, hey, can you help me? Can you do something for me? And more of like, hey, I have this little gift. Can you level it up? Can we do this gift together and turn it into something?
Right. Because you have gifts that other people in the class didn't have. And to see those collaborative projects come together, y'all, the 007 song project to this day is still one of my favorites. Y'all, we split the class into 2. We used AI to make up a 007 plot point. And then the 2 groups had to create the 007 Bond song for the middle. And oh, it was so cool. Everybody using their skills.
So much fun too.
It's so fun. Well, I'm thrilled for your EP. I can't wait to see what you release next. And I want to give you one last chance for something that you really want the listener to walk away from this episode. What is something that you really want to illuminate, or something that really matters?
Yeah, I think metaphorically in life and in music too, it's okay to be seen, and it's okay to let people love on you. Like, there are so many people you haven't even met yet that are going to love you so much. And if you don't allow yourself to be loved, they don't have that gift of loving you. And I guess the same thing goes for your music. Like, if you don't, like, your music is a gift, not just for yourself. And if you don't share it with other people, you don't give them that gift of what you have to say. And what you have to say matters.
Yeah, it does. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're sharing your gift with the world. And whether the listener's gift is music or anything else that you're dreaming, I hope that this has been a really good conversation. I've enjoyed talking to you.
I've enjoyed it so much too.
Okay, what do you think? Are you ready to just go do your thing? I just love hearing these stories of people who are willing to do their thing. And I hope that you've enjoyed hearing what Lindsey did, putting together this EP, Learning to Fly. I hope you go find the EP and listen to it. And I hope that you find a way to share your story or live your dream or let your heart open and let that song come out of it. We're so thankful that you're listening. I hope that you know that you're super important and whatever you desire to do deserves to be illuminated. And I'll see you next time.